kid growing up in the 1980s surely remembers Kool-Aid from the nostalgic flavors to the crazy Kool Aid Man campaigns that they launched. So today, we're going to look at the complete history of that wacky wild Kool-Aid. Now, Kool-Aid originally began in 1928 at a time when flavored drinks were just becoming commonplace. And after dabbling in other business ventures like ice cream flavors, gelatins, and malted milks, they found their main success in selling drink mixes and offered up 6 main flavors: grape, orange, cherry, lemon lime, raspberry, and lastly strawberry, which kept rotating in and out with root beer over the next couple of decades. And it wasn't until General Foods bought them out in 1954 that they decided to add even more flavors to the mix, like lemon, fruit punch, pink lemonade, golden nectar, pineapple grapefruit, tangerine, and black cherry, while the 60s brought us other flavors like lemon grape and cherry lime. As TVs began to fill more homes throughout the 1960s, Kool-Aid commercials began reaching more kids, causing the drink to keep exploding in popularity. General Foods then took out 3 different newspaper ads and found that kids resonated best with the ad featuring a Kool-Aid pitcher with a face on it. This humanistic quality would ultimately lead to the birth of one of the most iconic characters to grace Saturday morning commercials during the 1970s, Kool Aid Man.
Oh yeah, Kool-Aid here, bringing you fun. Kool-Aid's got thirst on the run, get a big wide happy ear to ear. Kool-Aid's mine.
Just by yelling, "Hey Kool-Aid!"
Hey Kool-Aid!
Oh yeah!
Kool Aid Man would then burst out of a nearby wall to quench the thirst of kids everywhere.
Hey Kool-Aid!
Oh yeah, here comes Kool-Aid.
It was a recipe for win, and there was no scenario too crazy for how Kool Aid Man would enter the scene and intervene.
Here comes Kool-Aid. Here comes Kool-Aid. Oh yeah, here comes.
Now, I actually had the pleasure of talking to the very person that played Kool Aid Man in those commercials throughout the 70s, Tom Anthony, who was also no stranger to commercial stunt work since he was also hired as Ronald McDonald's stunt double in the McDonaldland commercials.
When you go to work, you go in early, like 6 in the morning, and the makeup lady does your makeup.
So it took a long time, I take it?
No, not long. No, maybe 20 minutes.
Like when you put all this stuff on, was it like hot on the set?
The lights are very high. When they come in for a close-up, then they use a little light, but it's not hot. No.
So you put in pretty much a full work day then?
Oh yeah, we used to work 8-10 hours a day. Yeah.
And what was cool is when I talked to him, he told me that he absolutely loved playing Kool Aid Man. And Tom was invaluable since Kool Aid Man was required to pull off some visually appealing stunts for every commercial that he was involved in. In fact, Tom gave me this photo to share in this video where you can see this costume Kool Aid Man in action, with the exception of the mouth being left off the outfit. And this was done because it was easier to animate his mouth moving during the post-production process. And as the Kool-Aid ad campaign kept evolving, well, we ended up getting other catchy slogans like, "Here comes Kool-Aid,"
Here comes Kool-Aid. Here comes Kool-Aid.
"To Kool-Aid to the rescue,"
Kool-Aid to the rescue.
"To Kool-Aid is for kids for a big thirst."
Kool-Aid is for a kid's big thirst.
Kool Aid Man then eventually found himself exploding out of the TV and into comic books and video games? Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Yep, by 1983, Kool Aid Man comic books were being published by Marvel that gave Kool Aid Man all new adventures as he battled these new foes called the Thirsties. These little lightning bolt leeches would give kids severe cases of cottonmouth until Kool Aid Man came to the rescue and saved the day. Oh yeah, we'll show those cottonmouth foes. Then after reading these comics and turning to the back page, well, it revealed that you could also fight off Thirsties in a brand new Kool Aid Man video game? Wow! And save up 125 Kool-Aid points, and you can send away for a free copy of either Kool Aid Man for the Atari or the Intellivision. And being someone that actually played Atari games while growing up in the 80s, this was a really cool promotion because General Foods went the extra mile to give kids the option to play Kool Aid Man on their video game systems. And I think this game was pretty much the only one that actually did something like this. But what was cool about this game is in the Atari version, well, you bounced around as Kool Aid Man collecting Thirsties to keep the Kool-Aid from being drained on the bottom of the screen. But on the other side of the coin, you had the option to pick up the Intellivision version, which was a whole new, completely different game. And in this version, you get to control kids running around the house to collect Kool-Aid items. Once found, you could then summon Kool Aid Man to kill off those pesky thirsties. And then if you had any of those proof of purchases left over, you could then buy other Kool-Aid items that were found in the middle of this page, like a Kool Aid Man watch, Kool Aid Man canteen, or a Kool Aid Man baby bottle? What the hell am I gonna do with this? Kool Aid Man comics would be continued to be released once a year until they reached 9 issues to continue the adventures of Kool Aid Man and the latest gimmicks they were pushing. Now, even though those pesky thirsties never made the transition to TV, one character that did, however, was a short-lived villain in 1987 called Scorch. This sun-like baddie appeared in the comic books, had a toy you could send proof of purchases out for, and also helped launch the Kool Aid Sweepstakes caper, where kids could win Toys R Us shopping sprees, hats, jump ropes, and even, more baby bottles? When it came to the Kool Aid flavors side of things, well, the 1980s brought us one new flavor year after year, starting with their all-new Punch Bunch flavor family. And kicking off this flavor campaign in 1980 was fan favorite Mountain Berry Punch.
New from Kool Aid, Mountain Berry Punch!
That's cool!
Pouring on kids' 5 very favorite flavors.
Sunshine Punch followed in 82, the rebranding of Tropical Punch in 83, Rainbow Punch in 84, Strawberry Falls Punch in 86.
It's thrilling, it's wild, the Strawberry Falls Punch. It's the taste you're gonna fall for.
And bringing up the rear in 87 is Surfin' Berry Punch.
Here it comes, new Surfin' Berry Punch Kool Aid. Cool.
Talk about a lot of punch. 6 in all, with a few flavors released in between, like Apple in 81 and Berry Blue released in 88. Now, one thing that was so memorable about Kool Aid back in the 1980s were those crazy commercials.
Wacky, wild, Kool-Aid style.
Kool-Aid cooler?
Kool-Aid style.
The entire wacky, wild Kool-Aid style era is the very definition of what the 1980s was all about. And it gave us commercials that took video editing to the max by creating the most insane visuals possible at the time. Now, these were obviously inspired by all those MTV music style videos airing back then. And I don't know if these production guys were on drugs or what, but man, I love these. 1988 proved to be a huge turning point for the company, as most of the packaging changed from glasses of Kool-Aid to Kool Aid Man having all kinds of athletic adventures. Yep, and it was Kool Aid Man doing what Kool Aid Man did best, having fun.
Oh no! Oh yeah!
And the commercials also introduced the Wacky Warehouse ad campaign, where anything could happen. And this was a place where they showed off that they were always developing new flavors and new ideas like Kool Aid Coolers and Kool Aid Freezer Pops. Now, Kool Aid had already created a whole fantasy land of characters so far, but the best was about to come, because one of my favorite eras of Kool Aid was when they started rolling out the coolest prehistoric drinks ever created. In 1990, things were kicked off with a pink shark invading our summer with the pink-colored Sharkleberry Fin.
It's a new pink flavor from Kool Aid.
New Sharkleberry Fin.
Fantastic.
It tastes so here.
You're gonna flip.
Next in this lineup was Purplesaurus Rex, featuring that crazy purple dinosaur stomping through the city.
Wacky, it's wild.
New Purplesaurus Rex from Kool Aid. It's prehistorically.
And then in 1991, that crazy Elvis singing Crocodile sang his way into our hearts with Rock-a-Dile Red.
Rock-a-dile red.
Man, it tastes so good.
Red and fruity just like it should.
Rock, rock, rock.
Rock-a-dile red.
From Kool Aid.
It's rock-a-dile-licious.
Next up was Pink Flamingo, that crazy pink flamingo that flapped his way into supermarkets.
It's the gnarly new flavor from Kool Aid First soft drink.
Pink Flamingo.
Man, you really gonna go for Pink Flamingo? Go, Pink Flamingo, go!
Then the Great Blue Dini arrived in 92, that magician octopus, which could change the color of this powder from green to blue when placed in water.
Hey,
behold my many feats of magic as I change my new Kool-Aid flavor from green to blue.
You can too.
Incredible! Magical taste!
Great blue any Kool-Aid.
Kablooey!
Next up came Incrediberry, the new berry flavor that came from the future, which also changed in color when you added water. And then out of nowhere during the 4th of July came the last gimmicky Kool-Aid of Cherry Cracker, which would crackle and pop like 4th of July fireworks upon being dumped in water.
It's Cherry Cracker, the explosive new flavor from Kool Aid. You can pour the packet into a dry pitcher, add water, and mix up the atomic flavor mites to pack a powerful punch.
And this is the only time Kool Aid made this 4-packet item with the artwork spreading across the entire package. Now, after giving us so many memorable Kool Aid flavors in the early 90s, well, the next era of Kool Aid was not really as memorable. Because even though they threw together every fruit combination imaginable, well, it did so without any gimmicky characters, which left this period of time pretty forgettable. But they did manage to squeeze in this cool Halloween-themed Kool Aid flavor, which involved blackberries. Now, even though the magic of these 1980s and 90s flavors are long gone, they do, however, seem to rotate some of these flavors back in every once in a while, like Charcoberry Fin here. The only downside is, well, they don't put it in the original packaging, which, yeah, major downside. And some of the other iconic flavors from the 1980s that are super, super hard to find, like Mountain Berry Punch here, Strawberry Falls, and Berry Blue, well, good luck finding them because they're super hard to find and they haven't re-released them since the 80s. But as for these iconic packages of the past, well, I can't tell you how hard it was to track all these down, so I have to give a big thanks to Jimmy Tucker in helping me find some of these amazing packets that have never been opened in over 30 years. So for me, to be able to show you all these packages how they once looked in the 1980s is pure nostalgic overload. Oh yeah! Doggone it, Kool Aid Man. Here, have a baby bottle.